Okay, here we go. Welcome, you're listening to The Best of Investing on Talk 910, the show where we present valuable information about real estate, the financial markets, and other economic business of the day. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Mark Hunt of Pacific Private Money, California's fastest growing mortgage investment firm, Catherine Harris, CPA of Parati & Karad, and financial advisor, Mike Zaitlin. Our phone number is 888-912-1190. Use that number to answer the trivia questions for 3 vacations given away during each commercial break. That's right, we're giving away 9 vacations during this show. The vacations are not sponsored by the radio station, but by Lighthouse Resort and Marina located 1 hour northeast of San Francisco. Vacations are free. Their only request, a $75 cleaning fee to cover those housekeeping expenses. Today's trivia theme is, what a difference a day makes. We'll understand when we get into that. Our website is bestinvesting.com. Also on television, Comcast Channel 26 and AT&T 99, Saturdays at noon, Sundays at 6 p.m. That is a mouthful.
It's time for our first break.
Yeah.
What's the trivia question?
Yeah. You guys are too funny. Okay, so first, Mark, you got an article there you want to share with us?
Hey, I got a whole bunch of articles in here, but interestingly enough, we were talking to Mike Zaitlin before the start of the show, and just commenting about how the month of December has been really interesting, to put it mildly, in the stock market. We had that 1 week where it was down like, 500-600 points, and then one day on a Friday, I think it was, the 18th, it was up 400 points. It's like, it just drives me nuts. And what did you say about that?
Well, I basically said that's why you can never look at it. You have to treat it as an investment that's designed for 20, 30, 40 years. And that is actually why it's the volatility that's causing you to get returns of 6, 7, or 8% historically.
So what is it about the news media, though, that they just, the drum roll, it's daily, and every website carries, the Dow's up, the Dow's up, down, the Dow's up, the S&P's up.
Record high.
It's the difference between noise and information. 99.9% of everything you hear is noise.
That's a great analogy.
That's not mine, but it's what the top investment minds know to be true.
Now, of course, the stock market's reacting to a lot of what's happening in the world, and I came across some interesting information here that that's basically saying that right now geopolitical factors outside the U.S. are helping to keep mortgage rates, interest rates down at home, and that weakness in China and Europe have led to higher than normal interest in the dollar, which again, last couple of shows we've been talking about predictions for 2015, and I have some more for 2015, but among them are, we're going to predict that mortgage rates, which have been stubbornly staying low, which is actually a good thing, right, are predicted to go higher in 2015. But higher is all relative. I mean, it might go from 4 to, oh my God, 5. And
that's a 25% increase.
Now here's a statistic, and again, I didn't have a chance to actually do my own due diligence to make sure this quote is correct, but I'm assuming based on the fact that I got it from Forbes that it is. Before 2008, the 36-year average mortgage interest rate was what? Guess.
Before 2008?
Before 2008,
7.5%.
the 36-year average
36.
mortgage interest rate was
That sounds right. 7%.
9.2%. Wow. And it never, in those 36 years, went below 5.8. And you can get a 3.8 mortgage still today.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's true.
Well, that was during a period of high inflation, especially in the 80s, and that could have warped the numbers. I think if you took the 30 years before that, you would find it to be about 5.
I think you're right.
Good point.
But still, I mean, we've just, we've
The
got
last
spoiled.
6-7 years have been very generous to homeowners.
Absolutely. So, so for predictions for 2015, we've got some predictions from the experts.
Ooh,
experts.
I want to know where they live.
These are the New York City taxi drivers who out-predicted the New York, the Global Economist last year with interest rate rises.
No, it's the box boys at Safeway, but go ahead.
So some interesting predictions here, and some of these we, are almost obvious and predictable predictions. And of course, here's one: prices will rise more slowly. Well, they said that about 2014, and in fact, that did happen. I think we were up about 10% from 2013. We were up close to 20% in many markets.
We're talking just real estate here.
We're talking just real estate, okay, right, because I said markets. So the real estate prices will rise more slowly. Affordability will worsen is a
Which
prediction.
usually comes with higher interest rates
That's
and
true.
higher prices.
Here's one: the buying frenzy will fade. Which, again, these are for national predictions, and I don't know that we see that. I'm going to see that in the Bay Area.
Okay, let me interrupt for a second because I brought an article here.
Uh-huh.
It says memories of financial crisis fading as risks increase. So it says 6 years after the collapse of Lehman Brothers, the lessons of the financial crisis may already be fading from collective memory. Congress acted to just last week loosen the regulation of the high-risk investments that ignited the 2008 crisis. Housing regulators cut minimum down payments on home loans, and it says here the 2008 now the too big to fail banks says that larger than before the crisis, America's 5 biggest banks account for 44% of bank assets, up from 38%. So it basically it sounds like, gee, yeah, we kind of forgot about what happened. They got us into trouble, and it seems like they're loosening up.
Well, that was so long ago.
Yeah.
We would never go and get ourselves in that position again.
Yeah.
One of the things I really notice about predictions is that they're simply a projection of the most recent past. They're,
Absolutely.
if the
good point.
market has been going up, whether it's the stock market or gold or the real estate, it always seems that it's simply a projection. I mean, no one in 2006 thought that the markets were going down in 2007. And then when they went down in 2008, everybody, I think, projected that they would still keep going down. I think there's a lot of recent anchoring on market projections.
Yeah, you're right. A lot of these predictions are safe predictions. Like, okay, mortgage interest rates will rise. That's a pretty easy prediction to make. As is, prices will rise more slowly. It doesn't take a brain surgeon to come up with a guess like that. But here's one that I thought was interesting: rent increases will outpace home value growth. So they're predicting X for
Well, I wonder if that's
price
actually
increases
been,
and Y for rent increases, and Y is higher.
I wonder if that's been the case, at least in the Bay Area, for
It
a lot
has,
in 2000,
absolutely.
at least 2014, and maybe a little part of 2013, as home prices have been slowing down. There's been less inventory, and in the Bay Area market, the labor market has been such huge demand. There's just been such an influx of individuals into the local market that seems to be the case.
Mark,
So-
is it also true that, or Catherine, is it also true that the lack of ability to qualify for loans is what's driving rentals up, rental
I was
demand?
going to say that.
Exactly. Well, I think I peeked over Mark's shoulder is if they're focused specifically on the age group of like 25 to 35-year-olds, and that has been they have not made, and historically, their percentage of homeowner ownership or people who've been acquiring homes in the last few years, what they've been making historically, we'll say they were at 20%. They've only been at 15%. They haven't been making up what historically has been there.
Well, also they were talking about how the banks were raising the FICO scores needed. So even if they loosened up the down payment and all that, they still said you have to have a higher FICO score. Anyway, we're going to cut to a first commercial break here. Let's see here. Let me give just a quick little announcement here. This little last time before these guys are over. The Walking with Dinosaurs. Celebrate the holiday season of Walking with Dinosaurs, the Arena Spectacular. Take a journey through prehistoric times with 20 life-size dinosaurs. Coming to SAP Center, December 25th to 28th. There's only today and tomorrow, and that's it. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Okay, so here is our first trivia question. Again, the theme is what a difference a day makes. October 14th, that is my anniversary, 1947, a man proves officially that humans can move faster than sound. Who was that man? The first 3 callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. October 14th, 1947, a man proves officially that humans can move faster than sound. Who was that man? All right, make sure to include your email address, speak slowly, spell out your email one letter at a time. Don't touch that dial. The best of investing will be right back. Okay. I know
That's a
Mike
hard
Zealand knows the answer to that.
You don't
He
remember?
knows everything.
Chuck Yeager.
Chuck
That's right. I was like,
The right stuff.
And how do you guys know this?
Don't
Because
ask
we're
me.
old.
No, I don't think you're that old.
You're not that
Some will
old.
be nice, some will be.
A misspent childhood.
Yeah.
Books I wasn't supposed to read. I don't know.
Yeah, talk about like your dirty magazine, like you were reading.
No.
It's like National Geographic. Like,
I remember finding my first box of Playboys. Ooh, what's this? Oh my
And
god!
that was just your first box.
Yeah. Remember, he's recording.
We moved into this house that my brother and I were very young teenagers, and the former owner didn't clean everything out of all of the closets. That was one
Well,
great
maybe it was the
discovery.
former owner's wife who happened to not clean up everything.
Yeah.
That's right. That's true.
Yeah, they took it out.
With you. Okay. We get right into email time. Yes. Okay. You guys ready?
Sure.
Yes.
Welcome back to The Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with my co-host Mark Hahn, Catherine Harris, and Mike Zalin. We cut to the first commercial break. We asked this trivia question. October 14th, 1947, a man proves officially that humans can move faster than sound. Who was that man?
It was test pilot Chuck Yeager.
That is correct.
Yes.
Broke the sound barrier, right? Okay, we're going to go right into email time here. Mike, we're going to start off with you. Is it worth paying a manager to manage my stock portfolio, or am I better off with mutual funds?
Neither.
Okay.
You're better off. Well, you're better
That's
off
fine.
with a type of mutual fund, generally called very broad-based, passive, ultra-low-cost index funds.
That's a mouthful.
Which form a type of mutual fund, I suppose. You should probably, at all costs, avoid being in individual stocks. That advice is probably true for maybe only 99.5% of the public.
Small percentage.
Small. That's my opinion, of course. I think that by owning the market as a whole, you avoid, obviously, company risk. You're already taking so many risks just being in the market.
Okay.
Yet, oftentimes, you have no choice but to be in the market because interest rates or bank savings deposits, interest rates are so low. The fact that stock markets generally keep up with inflation and have a real rate of return, that's historically been true, although history can always change. But to take on the added risk of owning individual stocks, I think, is generally foolish.
And is the main reason that it's hard for the average investor or financial advisor to beat the market?
I would say hard is a serious understatement. It's almost impossible. I actually was reading an article that John Bogle wrote recently, the founder of Vanguard. He wrote an article, a long-time study, and many of these studies have proven this to be consistently true, and that is he found that over a 15-year period, only 3% of active managers were able to beat the S&P 500 once taxes were factored in. And that 3% doesn't tell you whether that was skill or luck. All you know is it was 3%. Could have been random.
Wow. Okay.
So I think to get on the path of trying to find outperformance means you're going to stay on that path.
Okay, but now you're in business, obviously. So you're telling the audience that you, in your opinion, it's better for them not to purchase individual stocks and have a financial advisor.
Well, I didn't say it's better to not have a financial advisor. I just said it's better to have not have individual stocks. I think. Most
Well, I
people
mean,
leave
I put the
financial
two
advisors.
together. I put the two together. Okay. And you would suggest index funds, sounds like.
Generally.
So now, I guess the question is, people would need, what do they need you for? Well, they would need you to figure out which kind of index, because there's a lot of indexes.
Well, and not only that, investing, the actual investments themselves are really only a small part of overall financial and tax-related, retirement planning, estate planning, decision-making. They're just really a fairly small part of it, although they get most of the press.
Okay.
The reality is, let's say that you want to, first of all, we need to determine, well, what percentage of stocks, mutual funds versus bond mutual funds should you have overall? Do you have a 401k, a Roth, a taxable account? Well, then which of these funds should go where? Bonds are going to be taxed as ordinary income if they're in a taxable account. If you're in a high margin tax bracket, that's going to be terrible. An IRA doesn't allow you to get the qualified dividend or capital gain treatment for stocks. So stocks are generally, to some degree, wasted in an IRA. So there are a lot of decisions. If you want to make withdrawals in retirement, what order should you make them in order to minimize your taxes? If you're contributing and still building, what order should you be making contributions to? What's your tax bracket? How do you coordinate that? What if you have carry forward capital losses? I mean, there are so
Yeah,
many
there's a lot of
decisions,
stuff.
but most of those decisions get ignored far too often.
Okay, so to remind the audience, you don't charge commission,
No.
and you also don't charge a percentage of assets, which can be very expensive. So how do you charge again?
Well, I usually just try to assess what the amount of work coupled with the amount of the assets to some degree, because there is liability. So if, for example, I'm managing a $5 million account, there's more work that's going to be done, although not to the degree that it would require charging on a percentage of assets. And I really find that the typical 1% fee is just far too high to really be justified in most cases, especially if managers aren't really beating the market. And I know I'm not beating the market, and my goal is to try not to beat the market, because by trying to beat the market, I have a chance of underperforming the market, and that's a risk I don't want my clients to have to take.
Okay, I know last week you were on, and you got some calls from clients, and
Nice.
why don't you give out your phone number?
Sure. You can reach me at 415-785-4585.
Okay, very good. That's Mike Zablin, financial advisor. Catherine, moving on to you. I donated. This is a good time of the year because we're toward the end of the year.
Yes.
I donated money to a charity, for a dinner event, but I was told that I might not be able to deduct the entire amount that I paid for it. Why?
The reason is when you give to a nonprofit and you get something in return, which is when you went and had a dinner, you received something of value. That value is not considered a donation. You would have to, if you gave $100, and usually a nonprofit actually will communicate to you. If you were to go to a dinner and the price was $100 per person, usually on your ticket or on your acknowledgement letter, they will communicate what they believe to be the value of the dinner. And that value is not deductible because you just received something. It was an exchange transaction. You got something for the money that you gave the nonprofit. Anything above and beyond that exchange value is a donation.
If the food doesn't taste good, do you get a bigger donation?
No, I'm sorry to say you don't, but if you don't, then you make sure you drink a lot of wine.
Yeah.
Or whatever is for
That's a very good point. Okay, so again, we're December 27th here, and we only have a few days left. There may be some people who need some last-minute tax advice before the year end, because there's definitely some issues going on with taxes.
Oh yes, it was actually my article for today. Isn't really an article. I felt as the CPA on the panel, I got to at least make some announcements.
Yes.
The federal government, in all its glory, finally, early in December, announced that they are retroactively making adjustments, various tax credits. So for those people who have been anxiously waiting for that announcement, and people actually don't realize what credits are these that are part of this packet, including the educator credit. Lots of teachers get $250. Mortgage insurance premiums. I know a number of people who pay for mortgage insurance premium. That is not technically part of your interest payment, and it is generally not deductible, but it's been extended year after year as part of, you're allowed to include it as part of your interest. That has been extended. So a lot of those things that you didn't realize you would almost think as automatic, are not automatic, but I'm here to tell you, at least for 2014, you guys do get those credits, which is great news.
Very good.
But in the last 2 or 3 days of the tax year, take the opportunity, look at your finances, see if you need to put some money into any retirement accounts, open up some retirement accounts if you think you own your own business and have some significant income and might want to make some deferrals into some SEP IRAs or Roth IRAs. Think about making donations to nonprofits. A great way to transfer some value and give $10,000 to a nonprofit or some amount of money is transfer stock that has a lot of basis. You don't have to pay the taxes on it, on the appreciation, and you get the donation of the fair value of the stock at the date of transfer. So
can they donate to the best of investing? I guess that's right. Anyway,
should we file it for a 501c3? Sure.
Okay, so if people have last minute questions to ask you,
Please give me a call. I'm at 415-461-8500, and I'm with Karate and Karate.
Great. Okay, and Mark, after we come back from the break, we're going to ask you a question about making a real estate loan, but based on non-real estate, or making a non-real estate loan, but based on real estate. It'll make sense once we get to the question.
Try again after the.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so here's our second trivia question. What a difference a day makes. All right, May 24th, 1844, the first telegraph line from the Capitol in Washington, D.C. to Baltimore, Maryland was demonstrated with the inventor of the line sending the message, "What hath God wrought?" Who, a co-inventor, sent this message? So basically, who was the sender of the message? What hath God wrought? W-R-O-U-G-H-T. All right? I'm not going to read that one again. So just call 888-912-1190 to answer that question. And stay with us because the best of investing will be right back with Mark Hahn. Only Mark Hahn, that's all.
I thought they sent like an emoji.
Samuel
Smiley
Morse?
face.
Yes.
Really? That's scary.
Sammy Morse. All right.
Yeah, I'm very curious as to what you were reading when you were a
I
kid.
think I had his baseball card. But that was Mike Morse.
Mike Morse. Oh, the
I still
trader went
collect.
to the
I spent way
Marlins.
too much time.
Can't believe we lost it.
I know.
I know, I'm surprised.
So this year we're losing the Panda, we're losing Morse, we're going to lose Harbaugh to Michigan. Although that's
Yeah.
going to be good for him. I hope he does that.
Yeah.
That actually, I'd actually rather him go to Michigan than go coach another NFL team that's going to play the Niners.
So,
I think he's
Catherine,
going-
you were talking about some SEPs and so forth, and I have some clients who I think should be in solo 401ks instead of SEPs because they can defer more income at the same income
Oh,
level.
hey,
and
Kramer,
they are over 50,
Would
they
you
can
be
get a
kind
catch-up
enough
contribution.
to make it so that
And,
the person who
problem,
wants to
though,
come
is that
in close
you
to
can make
5
a sub
o'clock can come
contribution
in?
by April,
You know how
but
to
if
take the
for your
lock and
first
make it
time
so
opening
that
a solo 401k, it has to be
Someone's coming in at
actually
5?
Yeah.
opened by December 31st.
He's going to be on the next show.
Opened or funded?
Oh, well, it has to be funded by April, but opened,
Yeah.
whereas as a SEP doesn't, though, it only has to be open in April. And that is really kind of
Solo 401.
Yeah, it has to be opened. The first time you open, it has to be opened by December 31st.
It's like a
I
Keo
checked,
plan
yeah.
has to
Yeah,
be
it's-
done.
it's a
by
defined
It's
December.
not, I try not to confuse people and just say just open
Oh,
it by
yeah,
the
no,
end.
no.
And people get
No,
more like,
that's- yeah, I
That's
know.
true.
But it
I'm always
is.
confusing people.
well, people
it's
get,
true.
I've come to, there's a new,
Mark
there's
isn't laughing.
there's a tax credit that's available for California, or excuse me, not, that's available for California. And trying to explain, like, I don't understand, like, you get a donation and you can get it subsidized at around 80%. So if you wanna make a $10,000 donation, it's only gonna cost you $2,000. And I
Keep it
try to
simple.
make it
Absolutely.
complicated anymore.
Sure.
You know, just say it's a good thing to do.
You know, yes, especially if they're looking for donations, like here's one way. If you're not looking for a donation, then it's not.
Okay, ready?
A lot of people don't actually think about the solo 401ks. Just don't think.
What do we got after
Okay, so after your,
after my question?
I know, it's not you, it's something to do with the
It's probably-
ear things with
I
the,
think my foot keeps, I don't know.
oh yeah, make sure your foot doesn't hit anything.
It's really like,
Mike, you got some other stuff you
is there
brought with you?
a hostess serving coffee?
Yeah.
episode?
Mike,
Do you
you
have
got,
anything?
you got some goodies that you brought with you?
Actually,
You
maybe
Yeah.
I should ask about the right retirement plan that we were just talking about.
Sure, yeah. Well, I did. I brought a
Okay,
John
good.
Vogel's article, The Arithmetic of All Investment Expenses.
Good.
Okay.
Full of stuff.
I have a quick,
Confusing. That's a good cap.
But you will make it not confusing.
last week.
That is what you get paid for.
The best of
Really, to be
confusing
honest.
information.
Listen.
Before I get, I'll lead into you because I have.
Oh, right, you got other stuff.
Yeah, I got-
Okay,
yeah.
that's fine.
Okay, here we go.
Read away.
Welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hahn, Catherine Harris, and Mike Zaglin. When we come to the second commercial break, we ask this trivia question. 1844, May 24th to be exact. The first telegraph line from the Capitol in Washington, D.C. to Baltimore, Maryland was demonstrated with the inventor of the line sending the message, "What hath God wrought?" Who, a co-inventor, sent this message?
It was Little Sammy Morse.
Little Sammy Morse. That is correct.
As opposed to Michael Morse,
Yeah, who we just
who's off
lost.
to the Mariners.
Okay, now if you
Goodbye.
guys remember last week we had a special trivia contest where the winner won an overnight stay at the Senza Hotel, a Napa boutique hotel. And let me read off their fun stuff here. Senza Hotel, located in the beautiful Napa Valley, added 18 new luxury suites in a relaxed atmosphere, enabling a one-of-a-kind wine country experience. A hotel that feels more like a private retreat than just a night away. Indulge in evening wine and cheese reception by the fire or on the terrace. Check out www.senzahotel.com pacificprivatemoney.com or call 707-253-0337. So here was the question. Most women say their craving for this is so strong that they might go to the store to buy this to satisfy it. What?
Chocolate?
That's what I would have thought too. Pringles potato chips. And Angel in San Jose, I guess she has a big craving there.
Love
She
Pringles.
was our winner there. Okay, so Mark, question for you.
Mhm.
If I want a loan for a non-real estate transaction, but I can put up real estate as collateral, will you still make me the loan?
Yes.
Next question.
Done. All right.
Okay, how does that
I
work?
almost feel like I need the question one more time because it was non-real estate with some real estate in it.
Yeah, so someone wants a loan, let's say for buying equipment.
Okay.
So it's non-real estate, but they're willing to put up some real estate as collateral. Will you make the loan?
Well, and it's even different than that. So at Pacific Private Money, we make real estate loans. Non-bank financing is what we provide. Basically, if your bank says no, they usually come to a company like Pacific Private Money next. We do so-called private money loans or hard money loans. And the thing that's common among all those loans is they're all secured by real estate. So, but the question is actually a little bit more complex than that, and most consumers aren't even aware that this is an issue. And there are regulations now that have to do with what is the purpose of the loan. So among the many Dodd-Frank credit reforms that were enacted was this issue of what is the borrower going to do with the money? Is it for a consumer purpose versus an investment purpose? So, for example, many of the loans we've been making for the last several years at Pacific Private Money have been to real estate investors who are buying, fixing, and flipping real estate, or to investors who are collecting rental property in this market when they were buying at foreclosures rapidly in 2010, 11, and 12. But more and more lately, we're getting loan requests from borrowers who have equity in their home and want to buy it to consolidate high interest credit card debt. Maybe they want to do improvements on their home, and for whatever reason, their bank says no. Banks aren't making home equity loans like they used to. Now, interestingly enough, a lot of private money lenders in California are not making loans if it's not for a business or investment purpose. In other words, they're not making consumer loans. The reason for that is the regulations around a consumer loan are much different and more complex than a straightforward business loan. So to simplify it, basically there's very few restrictions surrounding a business purpose or investment purpose loan.
Even if you put your primary residence
Even
as
if it's
collateral.
secured by your primary residence, that's right. You have the right to use your primary residence as collateral if you want to invest in a business-related or investment-related, say, buy other real estate. That is still excluded from many, if not most, of the Dodd-Frank consumer protection laws. But that's not the case for a consumer purpose. To put it, like, for example, to pay for your kid's wedding, or to put your kids through college, or to pay off taxes. Anything that's consumer related is now a protected class, and there's a number of things we as the lender need to do. One of them is we have to document your income like a bank. We have to prove you have the ability to repay that loan, that you can afford to make the payments, that you're making the income, because we're not allowed to make consumer loans to consumer, or consumer purpose loans to a consumer, if they can't demonstrate the ability to repay.
Is it easy to distinguish between a consumer loan and a non-consumer loan?
You know, it's interesting. You would think it would be, but here's what's happening a lot lately is that a borrower will start calling around to private lenders after their bank says no. They'll call a private lender and they'll say, hey, I need to borrow money against my house to consolidate debt. And they say, no, sorry, we don't make consumer loans. Click, hang up.
2 minutes later,
Then someone tells them that,
Yeah.
oh, it's got to be for business purpose. So
Yeah.
then they call up the next guy and say, I'm going to invest this money. And so our associations, the private lender associations, the attorneys that we utilize are telling us that you really need, if you really want to protect yourself as a lender, you need to drill down and find out, okay, well, where's the money going? And so it gets complicated. Now at Pacific Private Money, we make both consumer loans and investor loans. So if we're in doubt about the veracity of the application as to whether it's really an investment or business purpose, we'll just say, hey, you know what? As long as you can document your income, let's just assume it's a consumer purpose loan and underwrite it
sure.
as such. That way, We are protected as the broker, my lenders, who are private individuals, are protected, the consumer gets what he wants, everybody's happy, we comply with the laws, we do the proper disclosures, et cetera, and it's all good.
And does it cost more if someone were to
No,
come to you?
it doesn't.
Or
Good
the
question.
time?
It
does
does not.
cost-
No, consumer loans versus investment loans, they're virtually priced the same. We are always looking at the asset, the collateral, and the loan to value that the loan request represents to the underlying property. But generally speaking, the price in terms of both interest rate and origination fees, for us anyway, at Pacific Private Money, are generally the same.
But are the terms the same? Like balloon payment, 5-year, 30, fully amortized?
Good question. A consumer loan secured by a primary residence cannot have a balloon payment in less than 5 years. So we don't make 1 or 2 year loans on a primary residence if the use of the money is for a consumer purpose. Then we make a 5-year loan.
Got it.
Yeah. So anyway, lots of nuances, and yeah, it's crazy and confusing. Bottom line is, if you're a consumer and you want to borrow against the equity in your home, your bank says no, give us a call at Pacific Private Money because we can probably help you, and at least we know what the restrictions are and how to make a loan in this crazy market.
So how do people get a hold of you if they wanted to get a loan?
So Pacific Private Money, of course, is pacificprivatemoney.com. Fancy that. Or just give us a call, leave a message, and we'll call you after the weekend. We're at 415-883-2150. That's 415-883-2150 for more information on how you can get a no-nonsense, no-hassle, very fast funding for business or consumer purposes on real estate in Northern California.
Very good. Okay, we're going to cut to our third commercial break. When we come back, Mike's got a couple of interesting business tidbits to share with us. Okay. Next week, though, we are going to have another special trivia contest. The winner is going to get a 2-night stay at the Martine Inn, a beautiful bed and breakfast overlooking the Monterey Bay in Pacific Grove. So check out the Martine Inn, where you can leave the hectic pace behind and watch the waves of Monterey Bay crash against the rocky coastline of Pacific Grove, while having a different gourmet breakfast every day. Walk to the Monterey Bay Aquarium, which is really cool. I don't know if you guys have ever been there.
Oh, yeah.
Stroll along Cannery Row or taste the fine restaurants in downtown. Book a stay at martineinn.com and feel refreshed. So that is going to be next week. We're going to have a special trivia question for that. Okay, now we're going to cut to our commercial break, and we're going to have our final trivia question of what a difference a day makes. And this is for the 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. October 4th, 1957. On this day, the first ever man-made satellite was launched into space, triggering an era of space exploration and travel. What was the name of the satellite? A massive scientific step forward. Okay, the first 3 callers with the correct answer to that question are going to win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. October 14th, 1957, first ever man-made satellite was launched into space. Okay, what was the name of the satellite? All right, that's your question. Stay with us. When we come back, Mike Zalin's got some very interesting business topics for us. You're listening to The Best of Investing.
Sputnik.
It is. Who said that? Hey, good job. But
It's on your
Sputnik-
anniversary
Sputnik-
again, isn't it?
That was October 4th.
Oh, I
But
thought
my
it was
anniversary
14.
is 14.
Oh, that's the 4th. So you-
Good.
Have you guys, did you guys just start making the consumer loans, or have you always?
This year.
Okay, so
They started.
well, as
It's gonna
banks,
be a big-
as the banks keep on saying no, I mean, someone has to be there to fill that need.
Somebody's got to do it.
Sitcom.
Got to step up and.
We've got a lot of time for the next one, which is
Oh,
good.
good. Yeah, if you guys want to do the banter back and forth about the set 401k,
Yeah.
solo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sure, let's.
There's like, there's, what always confuses me is there have been so many names over the years for different plans. Is it really nowadays, if someone doesn't already have a plan and they're thinking about opening a plan, is there only like 2 or 3 that you would ever even consider? You wouldn't do some of
You
the
went
ones
to
that.
Well, like for the old
I can't
days, you
even
have
remember what it was.
You don't do defined
benefits, but the one type of defined benefit plan that you do want to have if you're a small business owner or sole practitioner, attorney, somebody making $200,000 in their 50s or 60s is a cash balance defined benefit pension plan coupled with a solo 401k.
Oh my God.
Oftentimes,
I
my
have not
head
even
just
heard
exploded.
of.
I have clients who make $400,000 or $500,000 a year, have no employees, or maybe a part-time employee, and they can put away $260,000. It's an IRA basically.
Wow.
It's basically an IRA.
Okay.
And they pay, and their fees are like $2,000 a year for the actuarial calculations.
Yeah, but that's
And then
not
they
too
pay
bad.
managers.
Oh, by the way, remember
It's
when
not a
you,
profit sharing plan? No.
The
not
profit, well,
It's not.
the solo 401k has the profit sharing
Correct.
component, yeah.
Oh,
it's like an age weighted?
Yeah, it's age weighted. You want to be about 45, or at least 45.
Okay, maybe
Ideally
we should
50.
definitely share that,
Yeah,
because
sure.
again, we're talking about the end
Sure.
of the year
Yeah.
here.
Gotta
By
set
the way,
up an-
every once in a while, when you're talking, even though you're talking to us, look into Mr. Kramer's camera.
Cameron's here.
Don't forget about
Yeah.
Mr. Kramer.
Look at Mr. Kramer.
I think
Yeah,
it's,
let
I
me
think,
put
I think
mine
it's
on
when you get
first.
that close. I think it's when you get that
yeah,
close.
it's when those
When the
earphones get that close to that. Yes, because I got you. See what happened? You know what it is? You talk kind of softly, so I have to punch this way up, and then, like when Vern's here, he's so loud I can turn your way down.
Well, Teddy Roosevelt said, "Speak softly and carry a big index fund."
That's
Good,
good.
I
Okay.
like that. Okay, so I took care of this one. Yeah.
Those who
You do
speak
a
softly
full
carry a
financial-
big
sound like
something.
you
or other.
like a
Stick.
financial
I used to be
planner.
carry a big stick.
Carry a
I don't
big
know,
stick.
maybe it's
Whatever
what
they
else.
need.
Have a big stick.
Something, a little bit, something.
Correct.
I'll show you my stick.
Ready?
Yes.
Here we go. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. Edward Brown, Mark Hahn, Catherine Harris, Mike Zablin. We're all here. Are you there, audience? Third final trivia question. What a difference a day makes. October 4th, 1957. On this day, first ever man-made satellite launched into space. What was the name of the satellite?
I'm
Mark?
guessing Sputnik.
Sputnik what?
1.
One. That is correct. The combination of the two of you, you got it right.
All right.
Okay.
Two. Never. I'll go two.
All right, Catherine. I've guessed it
We
right.
teased the audience saying that you had some good stuff, Mike.
Well, Catherine was talking about year-end tax planning, and we had got on the subject of retirement plans and, during the break, and we were talking about SEPs and solo 401ks, and I have noticed that generally most self-employed people are usually better off with a solo 401k for a couple of reasons versus a SEP. One is that they can usually make defer more income at the same income level with the solo 401k because it has the employee and the employer contribution, whereas the SEP only has the employer contribution. So you can usually oftentimes put up an extra $17,000 or so. The other benefit for a solo 401k is that there's a Roth feature, whereas with a SEP there is not. And the third benefit is that with the solo 401k, there's the age 50 and over catch-up contribution that you don't have with the SEP IRA. Those are one of the negatives of the solo 401k is when you open it, it has to be opened by December 31st of the year that you want to take the deduction, whereas a SEP would be opened by April 15th.
And if people called you in the next couple of days, you can help them set that up, couldn't you?
Oh, of course, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Mike, what confuses me all the time is that over the years there have been a lot of different names for retirement plans. And when I think retirement plans, I think, okay, traditional IRA versus Roth IRA. But when I hear a solo 401k or solo K or SEP, are those just different types of traditional or Roth? They're not like in addition to.
No, you're right. A SEP is a type of an IRA for a self-employed person, but unlike a regular IRA, you have much larger contribution limits. I think it's $52,000 in 2014 versus $6,000 for an IRA. The SEP and the solo 401k. Solo 401k is simply a 401k, but just for one person with no employees.
What should be stated is that there's really two options for you. There's pre-tax and there's post-tax. And that's really how most people just should kind of focus it. That's where this is where Mike comes into play, and this is where I think the value of a CPA, I say like the value of almost like a trio. It's the value of your CPA, your financial advisor, who usually plays a bit larger of a role than most, and then your attorney, your estate attorney, really can help you plan not just for today, but 10 years from now, 20 years from now. And deciding of this pre-tax retirement accounts versus post-tax retirement accounts, which one would be best for you today, what may be best for you 5 years from now and 10 years from now. And those things change, and that's where you have to have a very fluid, open conversation with this arsenal, this triangle of of people behind you to support you so that you have the best, you're financially healthy.
Would the Roth be pretty much the only post-tax type of
Yeah,
retirement?
there's a Roth IRA and a Roth 401k. Those are really your best options. And those ones, it's kind of funny. It's like almost I find a catch-22 because those are best in years when you have a slow year or when you're really young and you have really low tax rate. But often those individuals are one, not thinking about retirement, or two, there's a reason why they're in a low tax rate. It's because their taxes are really low that year. Their income was very low, so it's hard to have that cash
And then
available.
along with that is the Roth conversion decision too, which is the way you can supercharge your Roth, because with the Roth you can only make contribution limits of whatever it is, 6,000 or so, 6,500 a year, whereas with the conversion you can really get a lot of money.
But then there's
That's
also
right.
there's also special types of retirement plans that are age weighted, call it.
Sure.
You know, where let's say a typical situation, let's say the main dentist, the dentist is the employer, and he's let's say 55, but his hygienist and dental assistant and office person, let's say they're all in their late 20s or early 30s.
Sure.
What kind of plan have you found that's beneficial to the employer on that one?
Well, the plan I like best, depending on the client, is especially, and this is especially true for solo professionals or small business owners in their 50s or 60s who have few employees or don't have any employees working over 1,000 hours. I find that they can, with a defined benefit plan called a cash balance plan, coupled with a 401k, they can defer, depending on their income, up to about 260 or 270,000 a year. So that provides a massive opportunity for people who are catching up, but who are late in terms of finally making a lot of money to the party, so to speak. And so in their 50s and 60s, I have clients who can, depending on the exact income, can put away a couple $100,000 a year. And of course, the benefits of deferring income are usually massive, even at 6%, which is a fairly conservative rate of return. For every dollar that you put away, let's even assume you're going to be in the same tax bracket when you retire as when you're putting that money away. Even if you're going to pay the same tax, the value over 15 years of 6% is basically turning $1 into $2 of investment return that you just got from an interest-free loan.
Yeah, exactly. Why
And
pay
even
the
if you
taxes
pay-
today
yeah.
when you can pay them later
And
on?
even if you're going to pay a third, 30% on that return, you still got 150% return on your money.
And it makes
Assuming 6%.
sense that they have that catch up because someone who's 30 can start putting in a certain amount every year, and by the time they're 65, it grows a tremendous amount. Whereas someone who starts when they're 60, only has technically 5 years to put in if they're until they're 65.
And of course, there are some obligations with it. The costs, there's some fees with it. It's usually $2,000 to $4,000 a year for the actuarial calculations and so forth. But for people who are making, say, $200,000 to $500,000 a year in that situation in their 50s and 60s, to be able to put away $200,000 to $250,000 is usually something they don't want to pass up because the marginal tax rate is so high usually on that income.
And is it when you mentioned about the 1,000 hours, that have to do with like top heavy plans and key employees and all that?
No, that's for discrimination testing for 401k plans. These are cash balance pension plans. It's just a requirement. I'm not sure what if it's Department of Labor or IRS, but the $1,000
Okay.
is 1,000 hours is usually.
Yeah, because a SEP it's like 400 hours or something, or $400 or something really small.
Hey, Mike, do you find many of your clients have both types of IRA, a traditional IRA as well as a Roth IRA? In other words, a pre-tax IRA and a post-tax?
Sure, yeah. Largely because when they were younger, they started off in a lower tax bracket, so it made sense to put it in a Roth instead of an IRA where they wouldn't get much bang for the buck. And or they've inherited an account. Oftentimes people inherit a regular IRA and a Roth. A lot of times their parents or someone else had both.
So much there's so much to decide, with all of these various things.
And it really is dependent on your own personal situation.
Yeah.
And it is not, again, back to we're not just in this 5 years from now or 10 years from now. And sometimes, as you pointed out, Mike, is also what type of inheritance you might be coming into. It's something to consider in the thinking of what type of investments and how you want to invest, because depending on if you're going to get a significant amount of investments in Roth compared to IRA, different investments.
Well, like George Steinbrenner planned his death perfectly because he died in 2010 when the estate tax was 0 at that time. I wanted to jump over to Mark for a minute. Do you have any special deals of the week that you want to share? Anything you're working on?
Well, it's amazing. So every year for the last 4 years of Pacific Private Money, December has been one of our busiest months, and yet we generally only work for 3 weeks out of the month. So I actually raced to get here from the office and made sure I had a chance to pull up some of the blogs and refresh myself with what's happening in the real estate market this week. But it was tough because we were working on, we have like about 25 loans in our pipeline.
Wow.
So it's just it's amazing how many people want to either sell real estate before the end of the year or buy real estate. And if they're a seller, then they have a buyer lined up, and that in either case, the buyer is usually coming to us for a loan. So I don't have a particular loan that I can think of right now. My mind's a blur from but it's an amazing. We're getting construction loans, we're getting land loans, but more than that, there's just a tremendous amount of people who've come to us. Some have come to us because they've got tax bills that they're late in paying from 2013, and the IRS is knocking on the door, and so we're doing some consumer loans for helping them pull out some of their equity in their home to be able to pay those tax liens off, and some people are probably trying to pay down their property taxes they haven't paid for several years. So just just an amazing amount of loans, and which is good because the last couple of Januaries for us have actually been slow, but it looks like our pipeline is pretty full going into next year.
I did just want to say one thing further to what Catherine was saying about solo 401ks and the pension plans. And that is, if you're going to set it up, it has to be set up by December 31st. And so,
what's it take to
So
set up? How
push to
easy
the
is
end
it?
of the year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. How easy is it to set up a new account?
it's really simple. It's just a plan document.
You don't have to. On some cases, you have to fund it by the end of the year. In some cases, you just have to set it up, but you can fund it by April.
For the most part, you can fund it by April, or if you extend to September.
If you're not sure that you really want to fund it, can you just go ahead and open it up and then maybe change your mind, not fund it?
Generally,
So you can give yourself the option, and it's not a huge financial commitment to get set up.
Exactly, and of course, you don't even really know how much you're going to fund because your taxes haven't been done by the end of the year anyway. So there is some flexibility.
Okay.
You're interested.
We have a couple of minutes left. Anyone want to bring up anything specific?
Well, the news, for the year, we just got the November pricing information, and where I live in Marin County, the big headline of the week was median home price at $1 million.
I was going to say, did it hit the million?
It hit the million, yes. But I will say, it's all relative. I mean, it was based on 200 home sales. So there were 200 home sales in the month of November in Marin County, which, as counties go, is probably the lowest county in all of the Bay Area. But also being a lifelong Marin resident and knowing what home prices are in this county, I'm thinking to myself, well, if the median price was $1 million, that means of the 200 sales, 100 were above $1 million and 100 were below $1 million. And I'm thinking to myself, where do you find a home in Marin for below $1 million? There's just, I laugh, but it's not funny, but it is funny. It's like, so and this is actually not, apparently not including condominiums. So these are 200 single-family homes where the median price is $1 million.
I got a quick question. Will you lend on manufactured homes?
I have a referral. I've got several referral sources. So we typically don't, but no, I've got a great referral source for people who
What is the big deal with manufactured? I mean, I've seen some of them. They're beautiful.
Well, the big deal is that it's technically not real estate. Manufactured homes are registered with the Department of Motor Vehicles or the Housing Department, so they're actually.
So different than mobile homes. We're talking about a manufactured home. Is that right?
Or maybe for the land that's on it?
Some manufactured homes are considered. It depends on if it's a manufactured home and a mobile home park. I guess. Not a mobile home park. I'm thinking of just some houses you have to disclose if it's a manufactured house. They call it a manufactured house. Well, there's also prefab houses.
Or prefab,
So a prefab house is still a legal single-family residence.
And will you lend on that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We can make loans on those. That's becoming more and more popular. There's a company like Blue Homes, for example, that's based in the area that.
They're great homes. They're just very, very reasonably priced.
Right, less expensive to build.
Okay, so here's our thoughts for the day. Now these are some strange laws that were enacted at some point and may still be on the books. In Illinois, the law states that a car must be driven with the steering wheel. Okay, I'm not sure.
They're really cracking down.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Can't
how
use a
they-
pair of vice grips or something on the.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't understand. I mean, even if you drive with your knees, you're still driving with the steering wheel. Okay, and you'll love this one. Alaska law says that you are not allowed to look at a moose from an airplane. Don't do it. Don't you look at that moose or else. I don't understand that one. Okay. Tune in next week to The Best of Investing. We're going to be giving away 9 more free vacations for answering trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm Edward Brown. We're wishing you the best of investing. So long.